Good afternoon, everyone. Come here tonight on a good occasion. Hope that we can get something done in Lawrence County. No, thank you, Jesus. In the name of Jesus' name, our Father, amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I see as the font gets smaller on the agenda, it gets longer on the meeting, so definitely gonna have to keep my glasses on for this. The next item of business is approval of our agenda for April 13th. Is there a motion to approve? Second, motion second. Is there any changes need to be made to the agenda? If not, all those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please raise your right hand. 6-0. Next item of business is approval of our minutes. We have two sets of minutes to approve. One was the March 9th, 2026 regular session, and the other was the March 23rd, 2026 special call meeting. I will entertain a motion, however y'all want to do that.
Motion to approve the March 9th regular session minutes as well as the March 23rd special call meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
Yes, I would like to amend that motion on the minutes, the first page, last paragraph, about me voting virtually. That was for the February meeting. I just request that be removed. That's the last paragraph. You're approved on our minutes.
The motion to amend to correct Mr. Brownlee's status. The second. All those in favor of the amendment? 0, we're back. Any more comments? All those in favor of approving the minutes with the approved change, please raise your right hand. 6-0. Excellent. Thank you. We have several special recognitions this evening, and I will take care of A and B, and then Matthew Brownlee will do telecommunicators, and Mr. Pilson has some as well. So I'll start with National Child Abuse Prevention Month. On behalf of the County of Lawrence, South Carolina, with deep pride that we, the Lawrence County Council, do hereby proclaim with extreme honor, April 2026 is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas children are vital to Lawrence County's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, and all children deserve to grow up in a safe, stable, nurturing environment. And whereas child abuse and neglect are serious issues that affect the well-being of children, families, and the broader community, with long-lasting physical, emotional, and psychological impacts. And whereas preventing child abuse and neglect requires the collective commitment of individuals, families, organizations, and government agencies working together to support parents, strengthen families, and ensure access to resources and services. And whereas effective prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among social service agencies, schools, faith-based organizations, law enforcement, and concerned citizens dedicated to protecting children. And whereas raising public awareness and promoting education about child abuse prevention can help reduce risk factors and increase protective factors that strengthen families and communities. And whereas Lawrence County recognizes the importance of community involvement in supporting children and families and encourages all residents to play a role in preventing child abuse and neglect. Therefore, Lawrence County Council does hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Lawrence County and urges all citizens to work together to strengthen families, protect children, and promote safe, healthy, and nurturing environments for every child. Be it proclaimed, the Lawrence County Council encourages residents to support local prevention efforts, participate in awareness activities, and help ensure that every child in our community has the opportunity to thrive. Be it proclaimed on this 13th day of April, 2026. Next item is the Autism Acceptance Month. This proclamation on behalf of Lawrence County Council, Lawrence County, South Carolina, is with deep pride that we, the Lawrence County Council, do hereby proclaim with extreme honor Autism Acceptance Month. Autism spectrum disorder is a developmental condition that affects how individuals communicate, interact, and experience the world. and it's estimated to affect 1 in 36 children in the United States. And whereas individuals with autism contribute valuable perspectives, talents, and skills that strengthen our communities, workplaces, and schools. And whereas in recent years, there's been a meaningful shift from recognizing April as Autism Awareness Month to Autism Acceptance Month, reflecting a broader understanding that awareness alone is not sufficient. And whereas this shift emphasizes the importance of fostering genuine acceptance, inclusion, and respect for individuals on the spectrum, ensuring they are not only recognized but fully valued and supported within our community. And whereas Autism Acceptance Month provides an opportunity to celebrate neurodiversity, promote equitable access to opportunities and services, and encourage environments where individuals with autism can thrive. And whereas Lawrence County is committed to creating a welcoming and inclusive community where all individuals, regardless of ability, are valued and empowered to succeed. And whereas Lawrence County Council encourages all citizens to promote acceptance, inclusion, and understanding of individuals with autism while celebrating the diversity that enriches our community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Lawrence County Council does hereby recognize the month of April 2026 as Autism Acceptance Month in Lawrence County on this 13th day of April 2026.
On behalf of the County of Lawrence, South Carolina, it is with deep pride that we, the Lawrence County Council, do hereby proclaim with extreme honor the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2026, the National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, and emergency medical services. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is crucial to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Lawrence County Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most crucial contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Lawrence County Emergency Communication Center have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Be it proclaimed on this 13th day of April, 2026. We have members of the communications department.
Just myself, everybody else is in the middle of shift change. We do have son, he's an honorary dispatcher.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, I need the IT department. This, every month, I'm gonna recognize a department. This month is the IT department, man. I want to say thank y'all. Gonna read it out. So, with everybody not here, but we gonna give it to y'all, so give it to everybody. Thank y'all.
Certificate is presented to Tammy Hanks for your dedicated service with the Lawrence County IT Department. As well as to Rossi Hannah. and Christian Hanna.
Well, because we can't call everybody.
Was Garrett Satterfield, Cameron Hanna, and James Anderson.
Thank God for talking. Thank you, thank you.
Under reports of council, I'll turn it over to the county administrator, Jerry Freed.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of council. I have a few announcements to make tonight. The very first one that I want to make is that we have a new finance director who started today, and she is in the audience with us today. Her name is Casey Favens. She's coming to us from Abbeville County. And she's a Lawrence County resident, and I'm sure that you guys are going to see her a lot as we're working on the budget this season. Second thing is, I mean, I could do this as an April Fool's joke, but since I waited until April 15th to do this, the fence at the courthouse will be coming down on Wednesday, April 15th. And right on the heels of that, we're finishing up a punch list right now, but there will be a ribbon cutting for the courthouse on Friday, May 15th at 4:00 p.m. I also have 3 reports. We're going to start off with GW Daly, our assessor. He's going to have a brief report to give as part of his ongoing series for us. After GW, we're going to have Casey Edmonds. She's going to make a presentation on behalf of Clubhouse South Carolina and Lawrence County Mental Health Committee. And then followed by Andy Howard, who will make a presentation on findings from the Agriculture Committee. And so I'm going to turn it over to GW.
Thank you. That's great. So I'm here to give us the reassessment progress report for the month. Long-term process. I just want to keep everybody updated. We're reaching the final stages of our countywide reassessment. We're seeing overall value increases of approximately 70% across the county. Some are much higher, some are much lower. That's just the overall county average increase. However, the most important figure, and the one that truly impacts the public, is the taxable increase, which is approximately 14% overall. The average increase of the taxable value is just at 14%. This distinction is critical. While market values have risen significantly over the past several years, the taxable portion is what drives tax burden for our citizens. And that is where we like to focus our communication with the public. As a reminder, reassessment is not a countywide tax increase, but it is the process of bringing all the properties to current market value so that the tax burden is distributed fairly throughout the county. Without reassessment, some property owners would pay more than their fair share, while others would pay less. On March 31st, we also met with the Department of Revenue and the Auditor's Office, along with some school districts and other municipalities, to discuss our rollback millage process. The rollback is a key component. It is designed to offset the increases in property values and keep overall tax collections consistent countywide. Basically, the rollback helps us ensure that reassessment does not create the windfall, and it maintains fairness across our tax base. Finally, one of the most important things, and something I've been saying for months now, is that misinformation can spread quickly during a reassessment cycle. Our goal, along with working with council, is to make sure that the public has clear, factual information. This is a state mandated process that happens every 5 years, whether we want it or not. And I can tell you my office does not want it, but it must happen. There are limits on the property value increases. Like we talked about earlier, the increase in the tax value versus the increase in the market value. but there are no limits on the decrease. Everyone will have the right to appeal their property value. We will send a notice out. We'll give the information. They will have 90 days to appeal that information. Transparency and communication will be critical as we move toward the completion and into our notification phase. That's the next step. Reassessment does not raise taxes by itself. I've heard it a million times in the last 3 months, but it's not true. It ensures fairness by updating these values. And the rollback process keeps the overall top tax burden consistent across our county. That's my update. Or any questions?
Thank you for your appointment with it.
Sir, thank you.
We have your back, whatever you need us to do.
All right, I appreciate it. Y'all come see us. Thank you.
Thank you, GW. Next person is Casey Edmonds coming up.
Hello. First and foremost, my name is Casey Edmonds. I am the Officer of Expansion with Clubhouse International, as well as the Executive Director for Clubhouse South Carolina. And I want to thank, before we get started, Councilman Arthur Bilson, as well as Councilwoman Shirley Clark for your recent attendance to the Mental Health Forum that our Lawrence County Mental Health Committee came together to create so that we could start the conversation around mental health for the first time in our community. I also would like for our community partners to stand to be recognized. We have any partners, Kevin Terry from the Office of Mental Health, Sunny, you're not going to stand, but y'all know Sunny. So while we've got several that'll probably be late, I just want you guys to know that this is a community-wide effort. And so my goal today is to educate you at a very high level of what the Clubhouse does, how it's going to support the Lawrence community. And if we'd like to have some additional meetings or conversations outside of today, that is absolutely an option. I'm clicking in my phone. Where's the IT department?
All right. Sorry. Yeah,
There we go. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, so my goal for those in attendance as well as our council persons, I want you guys to understand the problem walking away today at a very high level. I want you to understand the opportunities that our community faces, as well as the impact that could be had given that we bring Clubhouse to the Lawrence County community. And then I want us to together be thinking about how we all want to be engaging in this community-wide effort. So it's pretty obvious, John, we talked earlier about the system failures that we all experience in this room. And there's no one person or one organization to blame. It's that there's no silver bullet when it comes to mental health care. So unfortunately, we see that folks that are entering the inpatient, outpatient, or emergency services are getting funneled through what we call a sick system. And this sick system oftentimes incorporates things like individuals landing in the jail system, which is not equipped nor ever should have been the de facto mental health center in our communities. It's a problem that we see across the state. And of course, we also are experiencing one of the major issues here in Lawrence, and that's people that are unhoused. And so it's like the chicken before the egg. We need to understand what the core root of it is, address that core root in order for us to create systemic impact. Additionally, we know that people need safe place environments so that they can recover, but more importantly, basic needs have to be met for people to be in recovery. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like. So here's the problem. Housing is limited to no permanent housing solutions for the unhoused in our county. We also have an access or provider shortage. This is statewide, but it's important to understand that our clinical providers are feeling the strain in our communities. Stigma, quite frankly, it exists in every human being across this table. It exists within me and everyone in this room. We all can improve as human beings to understand it is our responsibility and our duty to help our community members regarding mental health. Again, the jail, unfortunately, I always say, if I'm gonna have a heart attack, please don't call the sheriff, no offense. But please call an ambulance, because that's the care that I need and the care that I would deserve. Same goes for mental health. Unfortunately, they land in the criminal legal justice system more often than not, and now they have this criminal background that impacts their ability of reintegration into the community and workforce. Transportation, do I need to tell any of you sitting here that there's a barrier here in our community? More specifically, when we look at the cost of care, we see that there are individuals in our county, 1 in 5 are below the poverty line. That is not, you guys know what the poverty line is. So that's really one measure that we can see across the board. Lawrence County depression exceeds the South Carolina average. The highest that we see too in the state is female depression at 38.8%. Crisis ER demand is driven by suicide or self-harm, anxiety, serious and persistent mental illness, which is that SMI, and then alcohol-related issues. So this is what our ER here is witnessing. Highest costs are tied to schizophrenia, alcohol-related conditions, and self-harm, all correlated to psychosocial or psychiatric symptomology. Males face a higher suicide risk. That's an important note. While we see that the highest need for depression is in the female population, we have a barrier for those individuals in the male population getting the care that they need before it becomes a problem. And that is a problem. People with disabilities also often feel that burden as well, and nearly 20% live in poverty, creating major barriers to care, again, transportation, housing, etc. So what I want you guys to help me think through is, what is the solution that we need? We're not in a time where Band-Aids are the solution anymore. We need proven models that can support our community, that we can have measurable impact and quality assurance that is guaranteed to our community members. And so this is Clubhouse. What do? Well, we provide access to clinical care. There's no silver bullet with mental illness. If that was the case, I wouldn't be standing before you today. And in that case, we want to ensure that we're working in partnership with Kevin at the Office of Mental Health here locally, and our other clinical partners here in this room. Also, we need to be able to provide people, particularly with serious and persistent mental illness, an opportunity system. Oftentimes they're treated as their diagnosis. These are people too. 1 in 5 individuals in this room has a mental illness. So look around, that's somebody sitting at your table or in your row. Independent long-term housing, how do you recover if you don't have a roof over your head? Employment, education, and skill development, again, reintegration, opportunity for people to grow independently and be a contributing member to our society. And social support, people healing community. I heard the child advocate for our state say one time, this is a no-brainer model. It's important for you all to see that this impacts the whole family. It's not just the individual with mental illness, it's the entire community that's feeling this strain. And so what is Clubhouse? The Clubhouse model is a community-based mental health service that empowers people with mental illness to take control of their recovery and thrive through access to opportunities, again, skill development, person-centered care over, again, the diagnoses, resource and care access, housing support, educational opportunities, wellness initiatives, community integration, purpose, belonging, vocational support, social support. These are all things that have been barriers in our community that need to be addressed, and the Clubhouse is doing it. The important factor here that we need to be thinking about in the community is, while there are programs that call themselves clubhouses across our state, they are not all accredited. So it's very important that we understand that we put our money toward programs that have a proven outcome. Accreditation is an essential part of that. We work in the state of South Carolina with CARF. So CARF does more of the operational accreditation, whereas Clubhouse International does the programmatic accreditation. Each clubhouse has a 4-year time frame in which they get to build in order to go into an accreditation process. And these are built on standards. We have 37 standards of care. The interesting thing here to note is that our standards are not built in silos. So this is a global network. We have 380 plus clubhouses across the globe. And at the table of creating those standards that we build from are the members. the people that have the lived experience are our staff, our faculty. And we revisit these every 2 years. So each standard it evolves over time to ensure that we can sustain the test of time. Many programs do not do that. So it's an important factor. And this is just kind of a visual of how you can recognize a program that's committed to that accreditation and quality assurance. So as we look at some key opportunities in our community, first of all, Clubhouse is a lifetime membership. So this is not a 30-day, 90-day program for people with mental illness. They voluntarily participate, so the court's not mandating them. This is autonomy at its finest. You choose to be a part of this because you want to be a part of a community that helps you heal. We are non-clinical, so again, we're coming alongside the clinical partners that currently exist to ensure that we're practicing a holistic system versus a target that was never intended to be the only target to begin with. Inclusion, we actually have no staff-only areas, no staff-only stairs, no staff-only elevators. That's deliberate and intentional because everybody in the community of the Clubhouse has strengths and skills that can contribute to the whole. Structure and collaboration. So one of the important factors is to acknowledge that people with serious and persistent mental illness often get their education or life disrupted in their latter 20s or early 20s. That often interrupts their education or their employment opportunities. So in order to develop that structure that is so needed for them to embark on those opportunities, we offer what we call the work order day. It's just like your typical office. You're going to go in, you're going to have a unit meeting, you're going to talk about what needs to be accomplished that day. That includes the members of the Clubhouse. Everybody's going to figure out what their role is. And then at the end of the day, we're going to meet again. So everybody knows exactly where they're needed and expected. Again, the community orientation, I can't describe to y'all in a PowerPoint what Clubhouse actually does. I encourage you to come and see Clubhouse firsthand for yourself. It's a 45-minute drive. I will come and get you if that's a barrier. But more importantly, we might walk away today with a high level cognitive recognition of what the Clubhouse does, but until you see it, it will not become visceral for your community. Prevention and early intervention. This is where South Carolina in general struggles. We don't have those preventative measures right now. The majority of the state funding goes to clinical only, but if you look at states and countries that do mental health really well, the reverse is how they fund. So they fund much higher in the social sector over the clinical sector. I'm not saying that we need one or the other. I'm just simply saying we need a balance so that we can approach this in a holistic manner. This is a visual aid of what a Clubhouse is. And I'm going to tell you all that the joke was on me whenever I reached out to my network. I said, hey, I want a physical picture of your Clubhouse. This is just an important life lesson for all of us. What really is the healing part is the people that's standing in front of those physical locations. You don't have to have a big, beautiful building to have a Clubhouse. You don't even have to have one dedicated building for it. It's the people that help you in recovery. And so really quickly, I'm going to go through the next two slides to demonstrate some of the impact that we've been able to measure at the US level as well as South Carolina specific. What we see for the Clubhouse, we see that social function, employment, belief in oneself or self-efficacy, physical health, quality of life, all improve because of the Clubhouse. I want to point out really quickly though, stigma is reduced. You might wonder, how in the world do you measure stigma? Well, unless you've been in their shoes and you've been told before, you can't work. You have mental illness, you'll never work. And then your doctor is now telling you can, and you're doing it. And or that your family members didn't know how to support you from the get-go. And now all of a sudden you have a close relationship because now they understand you as much as you understand them. So stigma is one of the barriers that of course all of our members are experiencing real time, and we need to figure out a way to measure. Psychiatric symptoms, this is the primary driver of suicide. When we can reduce those symptomologies, we're taking a preventative measure toward holistic care for a human being. And of course, when you reduce hospitalizations and cost of care, that's return on investment for the community. So let's talk about return on investment. In the US, there's a calculation that we've been able to formulate for clubhouses in general. The average need individual, that's 4% of the public mental health system's population, is the cost savings in total. And these are the areas in which we're able to measure, is $11,374 per individual. Now, if we look at that high need, which is the population we most serve, that's schizophrenia, bipolar, schizoaffective disorder, complex PTSD, et cetera, we're at 22,610 cost savings. So how do we bring that into the fold? And each of you have a flyer in front of you of how that calculation, the conversion rates, as well as our current referral calculations. About 67.2% of our referrals come from the public mental health system. That being said, it's important that we look at that, knowing that there's still about 33% that we aren't able to calculate. That being said, we were able to pull some data that's specific to Lawrence County. And as a result, if we were to serve that conversion rate population, we're looking at a return on investment of about $17.87 for every dollar that we put in. That's an important measure for both how we can return on investment to our community, but also the fact that we're now in a preventative state and the system is becoming more round. So I'll wind it up here. It's important that we understand that, again, there's no silver bullet. There's multiple entry points to mental health care. However, if we are able to integrate community-based systems, just like Clubhouse, we're able to more cost effectively serve our community. And I'll wind up here. The Department of Justice did an investigation on South Carolina. This was June 2023, and that settlement finally came through end of last year in December. And essentially we got smacked on the hand, saying that we are institutionalizing individuals rather than reintegrating them and adding them to a valued member of our society. And so as a result, we have an opportunity in our community to solve that problem real time. So I want to encourage each and every one of you to be a part of the conversation. Each of you have in front of you exactly what we need. I want y'all to be thinking with us and solving this. This is not community partner problem. This is community we problem. And so we need your advice, your guidance, your support in this effort. We can't do it without you. And I'll just name that 85% of a Clubhouse budget comes from public sources. That includes you. So as we continue that conversation, I'm really positioning it for additional questions. I would enjoy to have one-on-one meetings with each of you. If you'd like to continue the conversation, I have cards, but my contact information is also on this flyer stick.
I have something for you already, some good news, man. First good news, I have your house. It's in Joanna. I talked to the landowner, and he told me he would give y'all a house. The second good news, I don't know how we're gonna do this. I know we have a van for sale at the county. I don't know who I need to meet with, the chairman, the vice chairman, the administrator, the deputy administrator, or the Mr. Wilson that's in charge of it. See if we can donate that van to you. So that'd be one two good steps we left out of here with. But like I said, I can't give a van away. But it's up to we can donate that van to you.
I appreciate that.
But I know that the two gentlemen that own the house, they told me last week, that I was gonna call you. But I knew you said you'd come to this meeting tonight. But the house gonna need work. But it's like this. That's the start. Cause we can get volunteers to make that house up to par so we can meet building and code. And stuff. So I like this that I would be at May 6th at 9 o'clock. I would be in Columbia for your event. But we thank you for coming out, putting this off, telling us about, cause everybody need help. And it's like this, we on the map. So let's make sure we do our part. And like the meeting that we had in this room here. And I thank y'all for coming here, putting it on. And I'm gonna take that 45-minute ride up there to Greenville to see. Thank you.
Absolutely. And in order to register for a tour, here's the QR code. I'll also follow up with an email to you all directly as well. And thank you, Councilman Filson.
No, ma'am.
for advocating
Like this,
with
we
us.
got one. but you need a net. I might can get you a net.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you.
Mr. Street, is that?
We have Andy Howard come up.
Good evening, council.
Good evening, sir.
So it's been a little while since you appointed the agriculture committee. And we have been diligently working on a pricing schedule for the agriculture center. And in an effort to keep it agriculturally minded, we wanted to bring this to council as soon as we had some numbers put together. The agriculture center has been extremely well used so far, and I put something in front of you today. And I wanted to go over that real quick before we started talking about those recommendations from the committee. I'm sure you all remember, back with the ATAX committee, recommendations, we asked that Placer AI be funded. And this is a result of that funding, this type of data that we get. In the month of March, the Agriculture Center hosted 11,300 visits. Some of those visits were from people in the county. But if you notice on that first page, it shows 4,500 unique visitors. That's visitors that have never been to the Ag Center before. And on the back page, it actually shows zip codes for where those people are from. And you'll see visitors from North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia. We had 2 peak shows there. That's phenomenal for a brand new destination in Lawrence County. Flip back to the front page, you'll see the growth over the first 3 years, which is obviously the construction time frame. That's 641% of growth over the 3 years of construction and at the Ag Center. But it also shows there where they went while they were at the Ag Center. They obviously visited Tractor Supply, Chick-fil-A. They went to Zaxby's, they went to Arby's, they went to the restaurants, they went to Walmart and buy gas, they went to McDonald's, they went to Hampton Inn. That economic impact is what we look for when we build a destination like this. Those visitors are not only coming to watch the pig show, they're going out in our community and they're spending money and they're putting that penny sales tax right back into kitty. So that's huge. What we always, a lot of people come, oh, you're gonna make a fortune on this place. Well, really, we're not, but the community is. And so that's what we really look for when something like this comes to town, is what it's gonna do for the business, what it's gonna do for the county as a whole. That economic impact is what's really gonna make the difference. Because the next thing you're gonna have is you're gonna have that steakhouse come because people are spending money in the community. You're gonna have that hotel come because that demand is there for it. And that's what matters. And that's a big thing. So the agriculture committee took that into account when they started pricing how we're gonna price out the use of this facility. They looked at other venues that are like this, and South Carolina does not have a lot of facilities like this. Georgia has a lot. Really, South Carolina has very few. But Georgia has these at almost every high school. South Carolina does not have places like this for the FFA to host shows and things like that. So really, they wanted to make this as available as possible for FFA, for 4-H. And so when you look at this pricing sheet that you have in your read ahead, you'll see that nonprofit agriculture, they wanted to make it free for those things. They wanted to make it where those students can come and show their animals and actually be able to use this as what it was intended for. And that's why the prices for agriculture nonprofit is $0. No charge for children using this facility to show their animals. And then you see non-agricultural for the conference room, the small little room in there, that's $50. Small use, people coming in to have lunch for small conferences. That's $50 for non-agricultural, and again, it's free for agricultural events. Non-agricultural, nonprofit is $500 to use the large main interior building. Events such as, a large banquet, that would be something like that. It'd be $500 to use that large building, the old exchange building, if you would. That would be the same price for commercial and non-agricultural, nonprofit. Same thing for the tie barn. That's typically gonna be, if you're doing a show that is a commercial show where they're charging money and they're not a nonprofit, they would use the commercial arena or the indoor arena and the commercial, tie barn. That would be $250 charge on top of the $500 charge, so that'd be $750. And then the horse arena, that would be a $500 charge for that, and if they choose to use the tie barn, that'd be $250 on top of that, and if they choose to use the inside arena as well, that'd be an additional $500 on top of that, so it'd be $1,250, which is comparable to most other places. There is also an out-of-county fee. If it's an organization from out of county, it's $250 additional. If it's an out-of-state organization, that would be an additional $500. Not additional to the $250, but that would be a $500 charge. Now, here comes something that we have not had in Lawrence County. Traditionally, we have not allowed alcohol at any venue or any place that we have had. We don't allow it in parks and recreation. We put an alcohol fee of $500. That would be something for the council to decide. Are we going to allow alcohol in this venue, in this facility? If council decided to allow alcohol in this facility, that would be a $500 charge recommendation from the agriculture committee. We do have camper hookup, and they recommended a $35 per night hookup fee. That is comparable to every other facility that has hookups. Other recommendations from the committee is that there be no parties, family gatherings, i.e. weddings, birthday parties, similar events like that. And let me explain why. Those things are planned so far in advance that it limits the ability for agricultural events to take place. A wedding, someone's gonna plan that out a year in advance. Showers gonna be planned out months in advance. And a show is gonna be planned out, months in advance as well. But you're not gonna be able to have somebody plan a shower and then a show come up and you say, no, you can't do this. This is an agricultural facility. We don't wanna limit the amount of events you can have here just because somebody has a shower. Now, there will be some discretion by the ag manager that if something comes up and you have, the ability to host it, absolutely host it. If it's all season, let's make it as accessible as possible. But let's don't change the actual use of what this thing was designed for. So there will be some discretion of the ag manager so that this is available to as many people as possible. We also said that with these fees, setup be allowed because we have 2 employees. They can't do the setup. So these organizations are gonna have to do the setup to receive these low fees. These people will be allowed to come and set up when available, day before and the day after. If it's not available, they're just gonna have to do it all on the same day. Same thing with breakdown. If it's available, they can come do it the following day. Event insurance will be required for events being held there. Proof of 501c3 status, 501c5 status, whatever status they're claiming, they will have to show proof of that. And all permits required by the state livestock, the city are responsible of the renter, as well as law enforcement requirements, and must be presented 1 week prior to the event. That's the renter's responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the county to reserve these things and get these permits. This facility is in the city limits of Lawrence, so their requirements will also have to be observed as well. These recommendations are coming from the agriculture committee, and it will take a vote from an action from council to approve these. Now, we will work with legal to make sure these things and the reservation agreements are set up to the standards. But it will take an action from council to approve these. And I'm certain there's gonna have to be changes and along the way. But this is a good jumping off point. And your ag committee, who, quite a few of them are here today, believe it will work in the beginning.
One thing, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank your department, what they do.
Thank
Two
you.
ladies, your whole department. In your vote, also ask them in the legal department that I see what you presented to us. When you get ready to have a event, the number size depending on how many officers you need.
Yes, sir.
So just make sure that
Yes, so that is a requirement that's actually already in place by the city of Lawrence. That would be just a requirement.
Two or three questions. So if it were, I'm gonna try to get this right. So if it were a nonprofit and out of county, it would be $250.
Yes,
Okay, I got you. Same with the out of state nonprofit.
yes.
Okay.
Out of state nonprofit, agriculture will be 500.
That's right. And then how many RV hookups are there? I was just
There's
curious.
14 right now.
I know we talked about it the other day. Would you like to share the financial impact from?
The financial impact, I don't have financial numbers, because with Placer, it does not share, financial data.
Gotcha.
It just shows numbers of visitors. And this data is available for most places, as long as it's not a private, location. And it's based on square footage as well. So we can get this same data for the square, we can get the same data for the museum. And I actually use this data with the ATAX committee when we award ATAX dollars, so we make sure we're investing in ATAX dollars going, and we could jump ahead, but using, when we invest ATAX dollars into, events and festivals, when we award ATAX dollars out as well.
Thank you.
Awesome. I have one question to Ms. Casey Elton again now. Every year, you can say where you at. Every year, we have ATAG money, might have left over to give grants out. And I would like for you to put in one of those applications when that time comes. We give out $2,500 to $5,000 to nonprofit. And I think that you qualify for one of those profit for Lawrence County, and we make sure you get an application.
Any other questions on this?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you. Everything, Council.
I have no further reports, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent. Next item is public comment. We have 3 signed up this evening. First is Rick Shealy, agenda item, first reading of ordinance 1010.
Good afternoon. My name is Rick Shealy. Appreciate this opportunity to speak on ordinance 1010, an ordinance to regulate the storage of hazardous and non-hazardous waste facilities in Lawrence County. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my background. After getting out of graduate school, I started an environmental services company, Shealy Environmental Services. They grew to over 70 employees, included environmental scientists, chemists, and staff. We did all types of environmental testing, consulting for numbers of commercial and governmental agencies. One of the things that we did was we monitored landfills, and we did site evaluations for new landfills. That we were involved with the Lee County Title V landfill that went in, I guess it's been about 15 or 20 years ago now. But that landfill receives waste from the entire east coast of the United States, including New York and New Jersey. Because of our proximity to the major interstates and our lack of zoning, we're kind of a target for that kind of activity, coming into the county. As you'll recall, 5 years ago, H2O Blue LLC wanted to put a wastewater evaporation facility off of Highway 56. And as I recall, DHEC had either issued the permits or was in the process of issuing the permits. And there was really nothing that we could do to stop, the residents complained, but since we didn't have an ordinance or a zoning in place, it was really up to them. Well, they backed out for some reason, unknown reason. But that brings up the question. If we don't have zoning in place, what can we do to protect Lawrence County from this type of waste facility coming in? And I think if you look at Houston, Texas, is a major city, 2.5 million people. They do not have zoning. They regulate these kind of activities with ordinances, and it works well for them. They have no intention of putting zoning in place. The ordinance before you would protect Lawrence County. It would give the county council the authority to regulate the location, the size, and the type of waste facility coming into the county. And I think it's very important for that reason. The one thing it would not do is it would not regulate agricultural activities. I stress that again. It would not regulate agricultural activities. They would be completely exempted. Every county needs some type of waste management facilities, landfills, recycling centers, that kind of thing. But right now, we don't have the ability to regulate. So this ordinance would give you that ability. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Tony Abel, speaking to National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Is Tony still?
I am.
You are?
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman, council members, and guests. My name is Tony Abel. I'm the Executive Director for Lawrence County First Steps, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight about something that impacts the very heart of our community, our children. April, as you are aware, is Child Abuse Prevention Month. And here in Lawrence County, we are working to ensure that awareness turns into action. Lawrence County First Steps, along with other partners, are proud to lead this effort through our annual Child Abuse Prevention and Celebrating Safe Children event, which will take place on Thursday, April the 23rd from 4 p.m. until 7 p.m. at the Ridge in Lawrence. This event is designed to bring our community together to celebrate children, support families, and remind us that prevention is possible when we all work together. Behind this event is a reality that cannot be ignored. During the state fiscal year 2024 to 2025, Lawrence County DSS received 1,022 referrals involving alleged child safety concerns. Of those, 185 cases were substantiated. This represents 376 children in our community whose lives have been impacted by abuse, neglect, or other adverse circumstances. 376 children. That's more than a child a day. Not numbers, not statistics, but children. Each one represents a story, a moment that should never have happened. These cases include abandonment, educational, medical neglect, physical and sexual abuse, mental injury, and even human trafficking right here in Lawrence County. These are difficult realities, but they're happening here in our own community. To help make this real for our community, we have created a visual display at our office on West Main Street, 376 pinwheels. Each one represents a child. As they turn in the wind, they serve both as a sobering reminder and a symbol of hope. Because a pinwheel is not just a symbol of awareness, it is a symbol of prevention. It represents the kind of childhood every child deserves, safe, healthy, and full of opportunities. And that is what brings me to why this matters for all of us in this room. Child abuse prevention is not the responsibility of one agency. It is not solely the responsibility of DSS, law enforcement, or schools. It is a shared responsibility. It belongs to all of us, community leaders, elected officials, businesses, neighbors, and families. When families are supported and when they have access to resources such as the clubhouse, stable childcare, parenting support, and strong community connections, we can reduce stress and strengthen relationships and prevent abuse before it ever starts. That is the work of Lawrence County First Steps. We focus on school readiness, but that work begins long before the child ever arrives in the classroom. It begins with our strong families, supportive parents, and safe, stable environments. An April 23rd event is one way that we bring that support to life. During the event, we'll have fun, engaging activities for children, resource booths, connecting them to local services, community partners, and services providers. We also will be collecting diapers and non-perishable food items to support families through the C4 ministries, because sometimes preventing a crisis starts when meeting a basic need. The event is more about awareness. It is about our connections. It is about building community where families know that they are not alone, where resources are accessible, and where children are protected. Tonight, I'm asking you for your support. I invite each one of you to attend this event, bring your families, share the message, and help us amplify the importance of prevention. Because when we stand together as a community, we can change outcomes. We can ensure that fewer children are represented by those pinwheels next year. A side note, the number of pinwheels from last year to this year increased by 20. And most importantly, we can ensure that more children in Lawrence County grow up safe, supported, and ready to succeed. Thank you for your time, for your leadership, and for your commitment to the children and our families here in Lawrence County. And I do have pinwheels for each one of you, along with a bracelet, and of course, our flyer to share with other folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this, man.
Yes, sir.
Do you have drop off punts all over through the county, like for that, like at Walmart, Dollar General,
Do we have what, sir?
drop off punt that you people?
We have not done that this year. Our staff is, 3 part-time folks, and including myself, and we just did not have the staff to do this. We're just gonna do the collection this year at the event. Okay, it was just way too much for our staff to run around the county to try to pick up those collections. And unfortunately, one of the collection boxes was stolen, so we're not gonna do that anymore. But thank you so much, John. And for members of the audience, I also have that up there, and I'll leave that at the table.
Raymond Prescott speaking to the presentation for the ag.
I'm sorry, I just signed in. There was no comment.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome. All right. Yeah, we'll move into old business, council submissions and approvals for appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. Mr. Andy Howard is going to speak to the ATAX board.
Good evening, council. I'm here today to request council approval for the annual appointment of the Accommodations Tax Committee. Exact same as last year with the exception of one. One of them has vacated the board and became our administrator, so we have to replace him with someone new. And that new person is Bud Marchant. He is a longtime volunteer on many boards, and is now requesting to be on this board. He will be a good one. He fills a cultural role with the Ancestor Centennial and many other different roles he has filled. But those members, as you can see, are listed in your read ahead. I'll be glad to read them off if that's necessary. Marcus Cheeks, he's the owner of 25 Catering. He fills the restaurant. Let me explain. You need to have 2 restaurant, 2 lodging, and 2 cultural, and then you can have 1 at large. Marcus Cheeks fills a restaurant. Stephanie Bowen, Lighthouse RV Park, fills a lodging slot. Bob Link fills a cultural with the Lawrence County Theater Board. Lori Garrett, with Comfort Inn and Suite, fills the lodging. Jody Prosser fills a cultural slash, cultural. And Jessica Cooper, manager Big Air Trampoline Park, and restaurant. She fills, the restaurant side. And Bud Marchant, fills a at-large slash cultural slot as well. So we have always done very well with these members. They fill them and they've been very fair. One of the other, rules is that you try to fill the ATAX committee where most of the ATAX funds are received, and that is Clinton Cavey. Because that is basically where the restaurant or where the hotels are, and ATAX funds are generated at the hotels. We do have VRBOs at the lake, but it is hard to collect ATAX dollars from VRBOs. That is something that states all across the United States are trying to fix, but it is not a problem that's easily solved. So, but that is where we stand, and these dollars have significantly increased throughout the state. Our tourism has picked up, and I look forward to seeing our tourism pick up even more with these capital project sales tax coming to a close. Look forward to seeing the square with the announcement of the fence coming down, and obviously with the Ag Center coming on board as well.
Thank you for your hand in all that.
Thank you.
So Mr. Howard has presented a slate for ATAX board, and we will need to take action on approving that board.
Motion to approve the board as presented.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the slate? 6-0. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, council.
Next item is the Gleams Board of Commissioners. We did receive from Milliken Matthews, the board chair of Gleams, a request to reappoint Mr. George Casey to represent the public sector on the Gleams Board of Commissioners. What is your pleasure?
It was written wrong on the agenda. It is George Casey.
Yeah, Mr. George Casey.
Motion to approve Mr. Casey's appointment to the Claims Board.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 6-0. Next item is the Lawrence County Planning Commission for District 6. Mr. Filson has someone to represent, Ms. Rhonda Gary. What is your pleasure?
Motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving Rhonda Gary, please raise your right hand. 6-0. Next item is the position for the Lawrence County Disabilities and Special Needs Board. Mr. Filson has nominated Ms. Janice Kennedy from District 6. What is your pleasure?
Motion.
Motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving, please raise your right hand. 6-0. Are there any other nominations to boards that we need to take up? Hearing none, we will move on to the next item. Under old business, item B, public hearing for ordinance 998, an ordinance authorizing and approving the development of a new joint county industrial and business park in Hunter Industrial Park. At this time, we'll open the public hearing at 7:03. Anyone wishing to speak for or against ordinance 998, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. We'll go on to third reading of ordinance 998. Mr. Metz, Mr. Cohen, do you have anything you want to say?
I'll be happy to take this one. This is just recreating the Hunter Industrial Park. The park agreement for Hunter Industrial Park had expired. So we needed to enter into a new park agreement with Greenville County. And this is the third reading. Nothing has changed from the second.
Motion to approve on third reading ordinance 998.
Second.
We need discussion. All those in favor of approving on third reading, please raise your hand. 6-0. As we move on to the next item, I would ask, Mr. Metz, was there a need for a public hearing for ordinance 999?
That public hearing already.
Okay. The public hearing for 999 has already occurred. You're at third reading of ordinance 999. An ordinance authorizing and approving the development of a new joint county industrial park in the Clinton Industrial Park.
I'll be happy to take this one as well. This park mimics the Hunter Industrial Park. Hunter Industrial for properties located within the city of Lawrence. The Clinton Industrial Park will be for properties located within the city of Clinton. Nothing has changed since second reading.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve on third reading ordinance 999? Motion. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving ordinance 999 on third reading, please raise your right hand. 6-0. Next item is public hearing for ordinance 1003. It's an ordinance establishing procedures for county-initiated road closures. I will open this public hearing at 7:06. Anyone wishing to speak for or against ordinance 1003, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. Move on to item F, which is the third reading of ordinance 1003.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the ordinance that would allow county council to administratively close roads in Lawrence County if all of the adjoining landowners consent to the closure. If they do not consent, the only option for county council would be to follow the judicial procedure outlined in South Carolina Code 57-910, and nothing has changed since second reading.
Motion to approve on third reading ordinance 1003.
Motion and second. Any further discussion or question?
One question for county attorney. This may not be applicable, but the closure on Happy Valley Road that pertain to this ordinance.
No, because an adjoining landowner has contested that closure.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of approving on third reading ordinance 1003, please raise your hand. Anybody opposed? Passes 5-1 with Councilman Filson in opposition. Next item is a public hearing for ordinance 1004, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu tax agreement, special source resource credit agreement, and by and between Lawrence County, South Carolina, and Aptiv Services US LLC, formerly known to the county as Project Oracle. We will open this public hearing at 7:08. Anybody wishing to speak for or against ordinance 1004, please come forward at this time. Being done, we'll close that public hearing. Move on to third reading of ordinance 1004. Mr. Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Council. As you mentioned, this is a FILO for Project Oracle that we've been, it's Aptiv Services, tier one automotive, high-tech manufacturing automotive supplier, going in the Connectual Center in Gray Court. $120.8 million investment in 277 new jobs. Everything's the same since second reading, except for that one addition that Councilman Brownlee asked to have job number on the fee agreement this time, so we added that, but other than that, that's the only change.
All right. Is there a motion to approve on third reading ordinance 1004?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion or questions for Mr. Coleman before we vote? All those in favor of approving on third reading ordinance 1004, please raise your right hand. 6-0. Our next item is public hearing for ordinance 1005. This ordinance is to amend the master agreement governing the Connexio Center Industrial Park to include Aptiv Services LLC, formerly Project Oracle. This time we'll open the public hearing. It is 7:09. Anybody wishing to speak for or against ordinance 1005, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. Move on to third reading of ordinance 1005. Mr. Metz, Mr. Coleman, do you have anything to add before we do that?
This is just a companion ordinance, to expand the Connexio Park to include, active services USLs.
Very good. Motion to approve on third reading of ordinance 1005.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion or question? If not, all those in favor of approving on third reading ordinance 1005, please raise your right hand. 6-0. Our next item is a public hearing for ordinance 1006. This is an ordinance authorizing execution and delivery of a fee in lieu tax agreement by and between Lawrence County, South Carolina and Suniva Incorporated, formerly known to the county as Project Sunshine. We'll open this public hearing at 7:11. Anybody wishing to speak for or against ordinance 1006, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, close this public hearing. Next item, our final item of old business is third reading of ordinance 1006.
Suniva, as you mentioned, I would like to recognize, Matt Carter with us, President and COO of Suniva. $350 million they're investing in our county and creating 564 jobs to be the third largest, project we've ever had in the county. So thank you, Matt.
Thank you, sir.
I think that deserves a brown.
Yes. What is your pleasure on third reading, council?
Motion to approve on third reading ordinance 1006.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving on third reading ordinance 1006, please raise your right. 6-0. Congratulations and welcome. We'll move into new business. Yeah, just stay there, Mr. Cronin. This is first reading of ordinance 1009. This is an ordinance to amend a certain agreement for the development of a joint county industrial business park by and between Lawrence County and Greenville County, South Carolina, the Hunter Industrial Park, to enlarge the park to add certain property located in Lawrence County. Mr. Cole.
So this is the new industrial park agreement we just did for Hunter. This is some property that is neighboring the industrial park, that we're putting into the park agreement. Re-implement. So it's just making the Hunter Industrial Park bigger.
Is that when you first come in or on the back end?
It's gonna be fronting the frontage road, so it's along that, I guess you'd call it the path, but it's kind of.
What is your pleasure of first reading of ordinance 1009? Council.
Motion to approve ordinance on first reading of ordinance 1009.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving on first reading ordinance 1009, please raise your right hand. 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is first reading of ordinance 1010. This is an ordinance to regulate the storage of hazardous and non-hazardous waste facilities in Lawrence County. Mr. Lane or Mr. Metz, do you want to speak further to this? Past what Mr. Shealy has spoken?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This ordinance is presented on behalf of Mr. Lane. As Mr. Shealy spoke earlier, this is regulating non-hazardous and hazardous waste facilities in Lawrence County. In addition to what Mr. Shealy spoke about, this would establish an application process. That application would be reviewed, and then recommendations would be made from county staff. And then you would essentially have the ordinance adoption process for any waste storage facility, which would be two meetings in the county council and one public hearing on which you guys would vote to approve any new waste storage facilities. My recommendation would be that after approval on first reading, that we refer to a committee so that we can take further testimony and do further research on this ordinance. I would like invite Mr. Shealy to come and testify to that committee. I think he has a wealth of knowledge for us.
Is there a motion to approve on first reading?
I got a question.
What?
This hazardous waste, are we taking it now? Lawrence County? Are they taking any hazardous waste?
Yeah. Mr. Johnson, can we get into the discussion where we'll make a motion first and then get into the discussion? Awesome, thank you. Is there a motion to approve, first reading of ordinance 1010?
Motion, Mr.
Second. Motion and second. Now discussion, any questions? Mr. Johnson, I apologize.
Are we taking hazardous waste now?
To my knowledge, we are not, but I do not see our Public Works Department here tonight to answer that affirmatively. Hazard waste is controlled by South Carolina law, South Carolina Hazardous Waste Management Act. So any ordinance that we passed would simply supplement that. We could not be any more restrictive than the state guidelines currently are. So state guidelines govern hazardous waste facilities to a large extent.
So we aren't, Orange County is not taking hazardous waste, and they don't have a facility to do it.
To my knowledge, that is correct.
It's in the ordinance, wanting to create a facility to do it.
No, sir, it would require that if there is going to be one, that you guys would have to approve it.
So it'll have, this is not approving a facility tonight.
No, sir, it just establishes a process by which y'all could approve a facility should one come up in the future.
Cause Lawrence County don't have no zoning, so that's why we doing this thing.
They don't jump.
Question I have, section 5, the prohibitions, item E, so the illegal dumping or unauthorized outdoor storage of any waste. Does that conflict any with ordinance 897? I know it lays out the fine for illegal dumping is $250 for the first offense, $500 for the second, $1,500 for each third and subsequent offense. I know on here it just says 1,000, so which one would take precedent? That's on page 3 at the very top, item E.
8-3.
That needs to be answered in committee. I just wanted, before I forgot to bring it up.
I'll be happy to research that and get back to you, but I would assume that since this is a newer ordinance, it would. Although I was looking to see if there's any language in the ordinance about conflicting provision of the ordinance, and doesn't look like there is. So let me look at that and I'll get back to you.
Any other questions, comments on the first reading? All those in favor of approving on first reading ordinance 1010, please raise your right hand. 6-0. And I would like to, at this time, want a privilege to assign this to our committee, Parks and Recreation Committee, which Mr. Lane should correct me.
The environmental services, I believe, or excuse me, health and emergency services.
Health and Emergency Services, okay. Perfect, and we will get that scheduled. As soon as we can. The next item is resolution 2026-08, the Fair Housing Resolution. Brownlee.
What does it disappear on me?
Yes, Tab. We got it, just talk motions.
Our fair housing resolution, whereas Lawrence County Council desires that all its citizens be afforded the opportunity to attain a decent, safe, and sound living environment. Whereas Lawrence County Council rejects discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, disability, and or familial state in the sale, rent, or provision of other housing services. The purpose of this resolution is to adopt and designate the month of April 2026 as Fair Housing Month in Lawrence County. Lawrence County Council affirms and agrees on the thirteenth day of April twenty twenty-six that the month of April be designated as Fair Housing Month in Lawrence County.
There a motion to approve resolution 2026-08? Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 6-0. I'm gonna get this next time. Okay, sure. Got it. Perfect. Our next item is approval of resolution 2026-10, the FY 26, FY 27 Clemson Extension Agreement.
Whereas Lawrence County annually agrees to support the Clemson University County Extension Program, now therefore be it resolved, the purpose of this resolution is to approve and budget for the Clemson University County Extension Program Support Agreement for fiscal year 2026 to 2027. Lawrence County Administrator or his designee is authorized to execute the CEPSA as outlined in Exhibit A. Funds for payment in the amount of $25,000 will be from the general fund.
A motion to approve resolution 2026-10 for the FY 26-27 extension agreement. Motion. Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 6-0. And our final item of new business is approving resolution 2026-09. A resolution consenting under certain conditions, the execution and delivery by Lawrence County, South Carolina, of a joinder agreement to the joinder of Soneva Lawrence certain fee in lieu of tax incentive agreement. Mr. Hall.
Not to get too technical, but obviously we approved the fee for Soneva just a minute ago. Soneva LLC is a separate LLC used to handle the real estate, so I just making sure both names are in the fee agreement. That's accurate assessment.
Excellent. You've heard Mr. Coleman. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2026-09? Motion.
Second.
I hear a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And we made it. And we are now at our county council comment time. Councilman Lane, I'll let you have it. I don't have batteries. That was not on purpose to keep him from speaking. I promise.
I have no idea.
I got Shirley too. We're next year.
Thank you all for coming. There's a packed house, a lot of new faces, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the new faces that are here. Thank you, Rick, for coming all the way up here from old Cross Hill to share your knowledge with us. Yeah, Rick is the professional, his professional background, and that he is the expert on this. So I'm appreciative of him helping us through this. I wanted to say earlier, and I realized my mic was, I have batteries, but it's much needed reform that we have here, this ordinance. As you know, we are in the process of getting zoning. This serves as sort of a temporary Band-Aid until we have zoning. So a lot of times with developments, different type, I'll just say developments, you know, we get a lot of backlash from the community. And, you know, a lot of times it's just reactionary. This would allow us or give us a mechanism to be proactive as opposed to reactive. So I appreciate Mr. Shealy bringing this to my attention and to everyone else's attention. And yeah, everyone else that's here that for whatever other reasons, I appreciate it. And as always, let me know if you have any issues or any problems with the county. I'd be happy to help you.
Sure.
I just want to thank everybody for showing up and welcome the newcomers. Business. And have a good evening.
Mr. Younts.
Oh, sure.
Mr. Pilson.
Good afternoon, everyone. It was brought to my attention, and I don't know how we do this, that, how can I say this? It's for the taxpayer of Lawrence County. Someone told me, I'm not sure about it, that Greenwood County do it. We got lots of people on feed income in Lawrence County. And Greenwood County let the tax people pay property taxes out through the year till they get their taxes paid. I don't know how that we put on our agenda, or if we need to look into it for the people to make payment plan for the whole year. I told them that I had to do a little bit more research about it because I don't know about Greenwood County doing what they do. But I thought about Lawrence County as a citizen and the people of Lawrence County to look at on that part. And I know it can't happen this year, but we might have to try to put it on the table for next year, something like that to look at. Had to talk to all the department heads, everybody to get on that same agreement for the people. I want to thank the clubhouse for coming, presenting your case. And just hope that we can do something for you in Lawrence County. In the new business, the 567, is I'm saying that right? 567 new jobs.
64.
564. We get three jobs. But thank y'all for coming to Lawrence County. And it like this, that anything that we can do on y'all part to help y'all and with Mr. Coleman and him that will do what you're doing. Thank you what you do, sir. Thank the new county. Let me get it right. The new Deputy Finance Director. Finance Director, okay. New Finance Director. Thank you for being a part of the Lawrence County, ma'am. Anything we can do for you, please let us know. Thank you.
Brown.
I'll get y'all out of here quick, but just appreciate y'all coming. Thank you for Industries and thank you for everyone that came to talk tonight, and hope y'all have a great night.
Well, that was good. Yeah, definitely a pleasure to sit here tonight and see the things that are happening in Lawrence and see the opportunities we have to put protections in place where they need to be. And I just see bright things moving for us in the future. We do have one item in executive session. And that is Lawrence County Council will enter into executive session for the specific purpose of the discussion of and receipt of legal advice subject to attorney-client privilege regarding findings and recommendations of the Lawrence County Grievance Committee concerning a grievance filed by former employee of the Lawrence County Finance Department. So at this time, is there a motion that we move into executive session?
And enter executive session.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion before we enter? All those in favor of entering, please raise your right hand. It is 7:06. All right, we are back from executive session. We just had the one item coming out of executive session. I would like to make a motion to approve the findings and recommendations of the grievance committee. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the motion to approve the findings of the grievance committee, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? Any abstained? So it's 4-1 to 1. Councilmember Filson, opposition, and Councilman Lane abstained. No other items. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.